Hey guys, Justin here with AmericanTrucks.com, and today we're taking a closer look at and installing Eibach Stage 2 Pro R truck coilover setup, fitting all 2019 and newer Silverado 1500s, excluding the Trail Boss and the ZR2. Now you should be considering the Stage 2 R kit for your ride if you're looking to level your truck using an extremely high quality set from an industry leader. Now at the same time, you're also going to be adding more performance along with a more controlled ride both on and off-road. Now when installed, this kit will provide Silverado owners with roughly 2 to 2.5 inches of additional front end lift and a comfortable fit of 33 by 12.5 inch tires thanks to the adjustable coilover design. Now in addition to that, you're also getting brand new reservoir matching rear shocks here, which will help make for, again, that more control off-road when compared to the standard Stage 2 kit. Now the Pro 2R kit here from Eibach is the company's highest offering for the Silverado and does come with some of the nicer components available in a kit like this, at least here on the site. And that does include the adjustable coilovers for the front, giving you that 0 to 2.5 inches of lift, along with the reservoir rear shocks that we're talking about right here. These guys are gonna offer greater heat dissipation and less cavitation over a standard damper. Now that's going to be the biggest difference again here with this kit, the Stage 2R versus Eibach's basic Stage 2 kit, which will come with a more standard smooth body rear shock. Now hardware aside, the combination of Eibach springs and dampers here will contribute to a much more controlled ride, again, both on and off-road. Certainly gonna be geared a little bit more towards off-road use here with the Stage 2R kit, and the Eibach kit will also make way for a set of slightly larger tires thanks to the increased ground clearance. Now, while Eibach doesn't give us exact hard data here when it comes to sizing, in my experience, a leveled Silverado at about 2 to 2.5 inches of front end lift can easily get away with a set of 33 1250s without issue, or maybe even a little bit bigger depending on your tire width, offset, and back spacing. Now, as far as your construction is concerned, well, for starters, the entire kit has been designed and built right here in the USA using very high quality components. Now, both front coilovers along with the rear shocks do utilize a true monotube design, an internal 46mm piston and nitrogen fill. Now, of course, that front coilover is equipped with a set of Eibach's proprietary off-road race springs, which again should help contribute to a little bit more control off-road, along with that slightly sportier, maybe firmer ride on-road, especially when we're talking about the included rear dampers. Now, the bodies of the dampers, both front and rear, along with the actual top mount of the coilovers, are going to feature an anodized aluminum build, and the entire system is given a limited lifetime warranty, which is a bit of a rarity here in the suspension world and really is a testament to the Eibach quality. Now, before we get into pricing and install, I should mention that Eibach does recommend Silverado owners should strongly consider upgrading their upper control arms when using this kit for the best performance and longevity. All right, moving into price point here for the Eibach Stage 2R kit. I think you're gonna find at or around that $1,400 to $1,500 price point. The Eibach kit is certainly gonna be maybe the middle to higher end of the road when we're talking about something that's going to level your truck and kick in some additional goodies. Now, certainly a far cry from those cheaper puck style leveling kits that you'll see here on the site, maybe 100, 200 bucks, but you can't even begin to compare the two when it comes to performance, again, both on or off road. Now, at the same time, these are still gonna be more affordable than kits, maybe from BDS or Fox Racing, who can sometimes get $2,000 to $3,000 depending on what coilover you end up going with from Fox. So at the end of the day, I could comfortably say this is a middle of the road option, but I would say middle to high end option if you're looking to level your truck and also greatly improve your on and off-road handling performance. All right, last but not least, let's talk about the install here, guys. The site's gonna call this a solid 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, maybe 3 hours or so from start to finish to get everything in place. As always too, whenever you do something like this and you go a bit higher in the front end, never a bad idea to consider an alignment for your truck just to make sure you're getting proper tire wear. But regardless, to give you a better idea of how this one might shake out in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Tools required for this install include a couple different size impact guns, a ratchet, a hammer, 17 and 21 millimeter wrenches, 14 and 15 millimeter ratcheting wrenches, an extension, a swivel adapter, 10, 15, 18, and 21 millimeter sockets, 21 millimeter swivel socket, and a pry bar. What's up guys? Today we're installing a lift kit on our Silverado. First we're going to watch a quick video showing you how to remove your factory front struts, and I'll meet you back here for the rest of the uninstall.
All right, first step here, once you get your wheels out of the way and your vehicle supported up in the air, we're gonna start removing our ABS line bracket. There's one here on the knuckle and one on the upper control arm. Grab a 10 millimeter socket and get those off. Now what I like to do is once you pop that off, I like to just put the bolt back on just so we don't lose it. Just a couple of threads, and then do the one at the top. Next up, we're gonna remove our sway bar end link. Now this is a pretty difficult one. You wanna have a couple of specialty tools here. Not necessarily specialty tools, but specific tools. What you wanna use is an 18 millimeter wrench. Put that on the nut here on the back first. Then you're gonna grab a 1/4 inch ratchet and a 9 millimeter deep socket and hold that stud on the back end. And you're gonna ratchet this guy off like this, instead of ratcheting the nut, just because it's a really tight space. So using the 9 millimeter on the stud itself, you can start to loosen it all the way up and remove it. All right, once you have that nut backed all the way off, pull the end link out of the sway bar, and then I'm just gonna put the nut back on the stud. Next, we're gonna tackle the upper control arm to the knuckle here by removing the 18 millimeter nut. I'm gonna use an 18 ratcheting wrench for this. Now, if it gets to the point where the entire stud is spinning, you can put this guy in there, follow it up with the appropriate size Allen key, and hold that stud steady. All right, making life easier here because this is starting to get stuck, we're gonna switch over to a T40 Torx socket, and using my ratchet, we're gonna hold that stud steady and ratchet this guy the rest of the way off. There you go. And what I like to do is just take the nut, put it right back on the stud. Next up, switch over to a 21 deep socket and get the tie rod end off. All right, we may need to grab a hammer to knock this guy loose. Once you have that knocked loose, let's pull that guy out. And just like the other ones, I'm gonna put this nut back on. Next up, switch over to a 15 deep socket. We're gonna get the 2 bolts holding the bottom of the strut to the lower control arm off. All right, next up, grab a 14 millimeter ratcheting wrench. We're gonna remove the top 3 nuts holding on the strut here. That's gonna be the last step before the strut comes out. There are 2 right here in the front you can easily see, and 1 deeper in the back, which is difficult to see, but you're just gonna hit these 2 and then repeat for the 1 in the back. Once you break it loose, you can usually get it off by hand. Okay, repeat that for the 1 in the back. All right, from there, pull this guy down and set it aside.
So now with our factory strut removed, we're ready to install our new one. So I'm gonna get this into our upper mounts and hand thread on our new nuts. Now we can come to our lower strut mount and reinstall our hardware. Now our hardware has been replaced, so we might be using a little bit different of tools than you will be using. But we have a 15 millimeter socket for the nut and a 17 millimeter wrench for the bolt. Now we can go back up top and tighten down our nuts. I've got a 15 millimeter ratcheting wrench to do this. And then we can put that clip back onto that stud. Next, we can reattach our knuckle to our upper control arm ball joint. Now I'm going to get a pry bar on our spring to pry that down so that we can thread our nut on. And then we'll take an 18 millimeter socket to tighten that down. Next, we can reinstall our tie rod end into the knuckle. And thread our nut back on. And then we'll take a 21 millimeter socket and tighten that down. Next, we can reattach all of our brake line and ABS line brackets. So we can start up on the upper control arm. Thread that into place. And then we'll get the one towards the rear of the knuckle. And we'll use a 10 millimeter socket to tighten both of these down. Next, we can get the two brackets, one on the rear of our knuckle and one on the front side. And then once again, we'll take our 10 millimeter socket to tighten those both down. And now at this point, you can catch up on the other side. Now at this point, you can repeat that entire process on the other side. All we have left to do is reattach our sway bar end links to the lower control arm. Now you're gonna wanna do this both at the same time, because if you get one end link in on one side and tighten down, you won't be able to pry up on the sway bar to get the end link in on the other side. So now you can grab yourself a pry bar and pry up on the sway bar from the lower control arm and get your end link into the lower control arm. And then you're just gonna make sure you did the same thing on the other side, and then you can put your nut on and tighten it down. Now once you have your end links in on both sides, you can thread on your nut and take an 18 millimeter socket to tighten it down. And then you can do that same thing on the other side. Now our struts are adjustable with the included spanner wrench. We have that little nub that can go into all these little holes in our bottom perch. So to adjust it, you would just pop it in there, and then you can twist that one way or flip it around and twist it back the other way. So now moving on to the rear, the first thing we need to do is remove our shock. So I'm gonna grab a 21 millimeter socket and wrench to pull that out. So now we're gonna start on our bottom mount. I've got a pull jack here to support the weight of the axle while we start removing things. So take a 21 millimeter socket and wrench and pop this bolt out. Next, we can go up top and take a 21 millimeter socket to remove our bolt. So now we're ready to install our new rear shock. So I'm gonna get our bolt into our upper mount first, and then we can work on the lower. Now we can raise this up into our upper mount and get our bolt through. And I'm just gonna get that thread started while we get our lower mount installed. Next, we can work on getting the bottom of our shock into our lower mount. Now we have a couple inches we have to go up. So to do this, I'm gonna put a pry bar on our lower mount. And then with my other hand, I'll hold this. We'll pry up on that and walk it into the mount. Then you can line up the hole, grab the bolt, and slide that through. Then we'll thread our nut on the other side, and then take our 21 millimeter socket and wrench to tighten that down. And now we can go back up to our upper mount and take our 21 millimeter socket to tighten that down. And then you can repeat that same process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Eibach Pro Truck Coilover Kit Stage 2R for your 2019 and newer Silverado 1500, excluding Trail Boss and ZR2. Thank you for watching, and for all things Silverado, keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.